I recently had a successful VBAC and here is everything that happened. I did share this video a few months ago, but I since became Muslim and my hair was showing, so I decided to refilm it. So with my second son, I wanted to have a vaginal birth after having an emergency C-section with my first for a wide plethora of reasons. And in this video, I'm just going to cover my birth story and what happened, and then I will do another video inshallah covering kind of like how I was able to get a successful VBAC in my opinion. So I was predicted to have a big baby. So initially I said no form of induction, no sweeps, no nothing. I want to completely go 100% natural. I was drinking raspberry leaf tea in the weeks leading up to my birth as well, which I do think made my contractions more effective. My little boy Elijah was supposed to be big. He was measuring as a big baby, so they were like, oh, we want to induce you. I had to go into hospital, and I was like, categorically no, I do not want to be induced. So I agreed as kind of like a middle ground to have a couple of sweeps. Again, my full personal opinion, my personal choice. Then on one of the days I had a sweep in the morning. I don't think the sweep is the reason this happened, because the day before I had like on and off twinges, but I was getting Braxton Hicks, so I was like, it's nothing, it's fine. On the Thursday I could notice them, but they were nowhere near anywhere regular or anything like that, so I was like, oh, they're just Braxton Hicks. Then the Friday morning I had a sweep and nothing really happened. I told her about the tightenings that I was having, and she was like, oh, maybe it's something, maybe it's not. Carried on with my day, decided to go for a little shop, and while we were shopping I was like, I could feel them, the same feelings, but this time they were kind of like stepping up a little bit, and I was like, okay, maybe they're just Braxton Hicks, is what she said. By the time the evening comes at 7 p.m, I'm like, okay, these definitely feel like something, like they are happening too often for them to just be Braxton Hicks. So I got my little contraction recording app out and decided, let's start recording these contractions exactly at 7 p.m. And I was getting 2 like 1 minute long contractions every 10 minutes. So in a 10-minute period I was getting at least 2 really good contractions, sometimes even 3. And I was like, oh, okay, this is finally happening. So I was officially in labour, but I could breathe through all my contractions. I was just bouncing my ball, I was staying moving, keeping my pelvis like in the right position, following all of the TikTok videos I'd seen, and I just kind of like went with it. By the time the nighttime came, they had ramped up. Like, we're talking 2 hours later, it was like 9-10 o'clock, and they'd ramped up, and I was like, okay, I am definitely in labour now. And that's when I called the labour ward. I was like, hey, I know I need to let you know, like, I've got my contractions, they're coming, I'm definitely in labour. I just wanted to let you know, like, I don't really want to come in unless I have to, because I feel like once you go into hospital, that's when things start to change. So I was like, I want to be at home for as long as possible, where I'm most relaxed. I was like, yeah, that's fine, because I wanted to give birth in a birthing centre and not on the labour ward, because I just wanted as least possibility for interventions as possible. Through the night, my contractions ramp up, and I'm like barely able to sleep between them. I'm getting 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 contractions every 10 minutes. Like, they are lasting. They aren't like the same time period, but sometimes they're like 30 seconds, sometimes they're like 2.5 minutes long. Like, irregular but very strong contractions. Then towards kind of like midnight, 1 a.m, that's when they start to get a little bit more regular. They're lasting for like 1.5 to 2 minutes regularly, and I'm getting like maybe 30-40 seconds break in between them, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going. By the time 8 a.m comes around, I'm exhausted, because I was like, I cannot sleep through any of these contractions. I do not know how mums sleep through this, if this is early labour, because I was like just about like breathing through them. And they got to a point where they're really late, really regular. I called the labour ward again, and they were like, basically, oh, if you come in and you're not 4 centimetres, we're going to send you home, I hope you know that. And I was like, so I scared myself then. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to come in, I'm going to wait a little bit more. And that's when my labour completely slowed down and stopped. And I was like, what? Where is it gone? So after that, I just kind of stopped recording my contractions, because I was like, oh my gosh, they've completely stopped. I don't know where they've gone. Like, this is insane. I just relaxed, focused on promoting oxytocin, which is like the happy hormones. I did everything that I liked, watched my toddler poo on the floor in front of me mid-contraction, which was joyful. And then things started to ramp up again, and finally I started recording them again, and they were getting a little bit more regular. And around like early evening, afternoon time, it got to the point where I was like mooing through my contractions. Like, I'd had a bath, I was staying active on my bathing ball, I was moving, keeping my hips moving and stuff like this, and I was mooing through my contractions. I was doing the down breathing there, where you go moo, like, and you push your breath down because it helps your contractions when you're in them. And like, that's the only way I could get through these contractions. And my husband was trying to do like counter pressure, but it was kind of working, it kind of wasn't. And I was like to Simba, like my husband, I was like, we need to kind of like go to the hospital. So I was calling the hospital. It's like 5 p.m, 6 p.m. at this point. Like, hey, I need to come in. Like, I'm you know, definitely in, like, on the phone, I'm like having contractions. And they're like, yeah, you definitely need to come in. Like, we thought you were going to come in earlier. Like, you need to come in like now. Because you sound like kind of like getting there. You definitely should be here. And then my husband was like getting everything sorted, like sorting out my toddler to go to her family's, like our separate family's house. They used to be her godparents, but obviously we're Muslim now, so you don't kind of have the same thing, but they're basically her second family. Like, so she went and stayed with them, and then we made our way to the hospital. So I will make a part 2 of this because this video is really long. But don't worry, it'll be uploaded straight after.